I think they're a great tool to help kids and get kids moving, but in and of themselves, they're not going to replace physical activity as a way to actually really get kids out there and burning calories and improving their heart function and everything else, that all the benefits that we know of. I mean, one of the big things is actually getting parents to be part of the solution rather than just telling their kids they can't play the video games, actually getting out there and doing it with them. One of the things that we found works the best is actually having kids do it with their parents. So if their parents are role modeling, that kind of sets the trend, and then if the parents start doing things that the kids want to do, the kids tend to get out there and want to do it more readily. Not everybody, but obviously more of them. Again, I think it's more than explaining, it's actually demonstrating it for them. So actually helping them figure out what are the kinds of things they like to do. How do they like to move? What gets them excited to move? And for a lot of kids, it's not just sports. It may just be that it's getting from place to place or going fishing or things along those lines, and figuring out how to make life a little more active rather than just playing a sport. No, I don't think it really makes a dent in that regard. So most of the studies that are out there show that when you're doing them and you're actually moving, you can get your heart rate up and you can do things that actually mimic exercise, but unfortunately about half the time is spent standing around, either getting the game to work or watching another player play. So really you need to do it a lot longer than the typical 1 hour that we think of for physical activity. You probably need to double that. And then it's going to be different too. If kids are at home, it's going to be a lot different than what they're actually doing when we have the studies that are being done in a research setting where people are supervising them and actually keeping them moving that whole time. Well, I think everybody can be healthier, so that's the first step, is just starting to take the small steps to move in the right direction. And I think over time it'll all be cumulative. There's not a silver bullet I don't think that's going to solve the problem, like extra gaming is not going to do it. But hopefully little bit by little bit, working on nutrition, working on moving, not just what's happening in schools, but happening in homes and how we're building our communities. All of that together, I think eventually will add up, and that we can end up reversing it. I think they both have their barriers. Some of the kids who live out in the rural areas, there aren't a lot of roads to get anywhere, and the roads that are there are busy. And we could say the same thing about urban areas, that there are a lot of roads, but they also tend to be busy and they may not be quite as safe. So we also have to have safe areas for kids to be able to play, which gets more into the built structure and the environment of where kids are living. I think probably that there is that opportunity where people are so engulfed in it that they will be more active. Obviously there's a lot of other benefits though to being outside, so I think there's still going to be a preference to try to get people to do things outdoors rather than in a holodeck, just because of the exposure to things in the environment, the social interaction, the things that come about in gameplay, kids working through conflict and conflict resolution and all the other social interactions.